Hi everyone, welcome again to my channel. Earlier this week, I started working on my early summer containers here by the roadside, and I would like to share the process with you. So here are the containers that I put together back in fall and that have been performing so well during this spring. And right now the bulbs are dying back and I need to come here and clean up everything and put in some fresh new flowers. Another container I'm going to be working on today is this one over here by the mailbox. As you can see, it's very much in need of a refresh. However, what I'm really most excited about is being able to plant out my sweet peas. I'm going to be planting them in these window boxes containers that I've basically moved here by the light well. And my hope is that they'll grow and climb up against this metal mesh that we use here as a protective enclosure for the light well. And I'm thinking it will go really well with the Nelly Moser clematis that I also plan to plant here. I'm going to be working with lots of supertunias today as my choice of plants to enhance the containers by the roadside, but also I'm going to be using lots of super bales. I have some geraniums, some grasses, but I'm really excited to be planting out my sweet peas. I'm really happy with how well they germinated, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they perform here in front. So Laterus odoratus is all that was written on the seed package. It's a climbing plant and it provides blooms that are scented. It's going to grow up about 1 meter to 1 meter 20. But other than that, it's going to be a very big learning experience for me, as it is my first time growing sweet peas and I'm looking forward to learning a lot. So my plan putting it here is to help bring some color in this area, which is very much all about the gray and the greens. So I'm hoping that it grows up on that metal mesh that we are using here as a protective enclosure. Having sown the sweet peas in these rolls that you get from the kitchen paper towels, this means that I don't necessarily have to remove the sweet peas out of the organic and degradable containers in which they were sown. And that also means that I can preserve the roots because the sweet peas apparently doesn't like to have its roots too much disturbed. So I'm considering using these double super bales to kind of like, provide something that is trailing down on the containers and a pop of color at this time of the year when the sweet peas has not yet picked up. These came in as 3 different varieties of calibrachoas planted in one single container. I like the fact that they have a little touch of pink, a little bit of purple, and some lilac in the combination. And I think they'll go really well with the sweet peas once they pick up. So they have double twisted blooms, and I divided them to kind of like get them to fit in the very narrow containers that I'm using right here. But I think they look really, really beautiful. So I can't wait to see how all of these settle in. Over here by the letterbox, I decided to use a new container altogether, and I put together a combination of Armeria maritima, a geranium, some super bales, some verbena, and the result of all of that, it may not be impressive, but I really love the discreet touch of color that this arrangement brings here in the back of the laurel hedge. So I'm okay with that. I think that would do just fine. Now over to the other side where we have the bulbs arrangement. I'm having to remove all the bulbs to freshen up the soil a little bit, and I'm not going to be throwing those bulbs away. I'm going to be either preserving them by drying them or by just planting them in other garden beds and hoping for them to come back next year. I must say that the 2 small Japanese maple trees in these containers have done beautifully. I mean, they've come back and have put on new growth, and I'm really happy with them. So over here, I'm going to be using primarily supertunias to refresh the containers. But first of all, I'm going to be amending the soil with some new potting soil, some compost, and slow release fertilizer. So the first of the three containers over here, the one without a tree in the middle, I plan to use this Cheyenne sky grass, which is I was going for a purple fountain grass, but I couldn't find it, and I found this one, and I thought the color mix with the blooms and the foliage is also quite interesting, so I'm happy with that. It grows 1 meter up and it blooms from July to October. So I'm going to be combining that with this hanging super petunia and also the super petunia bubblegum. I think this mixture, if all the plants do well here, could be quite interesting. Moving on to the second container, the one with the blood good small Japanese maple tree. Also here, I'm going to be using a mixed color super petunia. Look at that. I mean, that looks stunning. I really like that color. And around that, I'm going to be putting the super petunia Bordeaux. Here, this is the container with the red umbrella small Japanese maple tree. Over here, I'll be using the white hanging or trailing super petunia. Also with another variegated super petunia, and I'll be adding some super petunia Bordeaux to this arrangement here. And here is the final arrangement. Really liking this one. I think when that Cheyenne grass grows and brings all those dark colors that it promises, it's going to look quite interesting. Over here with the bloodgood Japanese maple tree, loving the Bordeaux super petunias. Interesting. And finally, the one with the red umbrella small Japanese maple tree. Other than that, over here by the roadside, things are coming back to life, and there's a lot of blooming going on, but also lots of weeds popping up between the ground covers. The tulips are still very much blooming, and the poppy seeds that I put here back in winter, some of them have come up nicely. This one right here is one that had self-seeded. The ones that I planted are nowhere near to this size. They are somewhere there in the midst of all that foliage. You find the tiny little poppy seedlings. But I need to come out here and do some weeding and cleaning up to be able to see them much better. So that's it really. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in our next video. Bye bye.